All right, how we doing today? How we doing? That's good. We got the throwbacks going on today, the purple and orange. Um, Today we're going to talk about run fits and kind of how they correlate to the coverage called, whether that be single high, whether that be too high. Um, Basically, who is your extra fitter? Who's the guy that's supposed to get the extra gap, the available gap? We'll talk a little potentially RPO, quarterback designed run game because that changes a lot of things in run fits. So, um, what we're going to do, what I had planned, is start from long gains, like start explosive runs and looking at where the breakdown was on the defense. If someone was not in their gap, if we cut someone loose, I mean, typically someone's not going to be in their gap, or if a guy just missed a tackle, sometimes that happens. But that's the plan for today, at least, is kind of look at the explosive runs first and see where the breakdown was, and then we'll start to get to when we are gap sound and when we are fit correctly, how that looks. And that's the thing too with defense. We talked about this a little bit on the last stream or a couple streams ago. If one guy on defense isn't correct or isn't doing their job, the offense can find that guy. If the backside receiver isn't doing his job, or even the front side receiver, a tight end or someone like that isn't doing their job on offense, it doesn't always correlate. They don't always get hit on offense just because you can be away from the play. But on defense, if you're not doing your job, typically you're going to get found out. So we're going to look at that today. And just my name is Jaron Horton. I was the defensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Maulers in 2022 and 2023 before our team got folded. I was the assistant coach of the year in the USFL right there. I got experience in the NFL, in the SEC. I was an FBS coordinator. And I've been in FCS, FBS, and a bunch of different conferences and stuff like that. But we'll get into the film right now. So let's see here. All right, cool. So, like we said, we're going to be looking at big gains first. So this was from 2022. And we can see the score. We were down. This is late in the game. So I've said this before. In this game, the guys wanted they wanted 4-down stuff. So I called more 4-down stuff. But you can see here, sometimes 4-down stuff, the fits are a little bit different than 3-down. So we'll see here. They're just running the stretch. No, I'm sorry. This is like pin pull. They're pulling the front side guard and the front side center, but he cuts it back. So we're playing palms, and for us, palms is trap 2. We talked about that at some point. So we're saying now that the safety's in the fit, and since it's a condensed set, since 2 is in the core on both sides, he's in the fit and he's in the fit. So in theory, we should have a 9-man box versus their 9 offensive players, plus the quarterback. So really, we should have more than enough guys. But we get cut out and we miss a tackle. It's a good trigger, but we miss a tackle, and now it's a long run. So we'll see from the tight now. So how it should fit, we're setting the front to 88, which is fine. We probably did to the field because it's on the defensive left hash. So we're gonna have our 3 technique here, our 1 technique, our shade there. Really, we want him to be in a 7 technique right here. We want him to be in a 7 technique right here. So that's our defense alignments gap. So now we're saying is our palms player is fitting off a 2, because for us, when 2 is in the core, it just converts to quarters to play short quarters. So as a short quarters player, your fit is outside of 2. That's his fit. Our backer's fit is right there in the A gap. Other backer's fit's in the B gap. And now his fit is technically going to be outside of 2 because the short quarters player is inside. And then now here we have an extra fitter. In theory, you could say that this guy could be the extra fitter and whatever. But we have 9 guys for their 8, basically. So we'll see what happens. We get cut out somewhere. Well, like we said initially, we want him to be inside because this is 2 gaps right here, and we don't want that. We would like him to be inside. If he's going to play outside, that's fine. He's got to be able to trigger a little bit faster. And like we said, if he is here in the C gap, then when he cuts his back, he's going to have a little bit easier tackle because he's not going to have to try to make that play. And now it ends up us having 2 guys in the gap. So the big thing I would say is right here, if he's going to play this outside, he needs to stay outside. If he's going to play contain to allow this guy to play right there. Unless you are 2 gapping, or I heard someone talking about dude out in Los Angeles, Staley, was doing like a gap and a half or something. I don't know. They were doing something where they were playing a gap, and then once the ball committed, then they would play back door, I guess, or play the other gap. If you're gonna do that, fine. You gotta have guys that can do it, and you gotta have guys off the ball that can react. Because if you do that, then you can get cut back on easily. But here, this is a really good cut by the running back. He sticks his foot in the ground and redirects. Reggie was a very good running back. But like we said, if he was in here, Tarp could have a little bit of an easier tackle as this guy falls off the shelf, because he's trying to shoot his gap, but it ends up getting back outside, and we lose contain. So we technically weren't really out of a gap or anything like that, but him trying to contain, he couldn't catch him, basically. And that's a 2 high, 4 down. This is just like a regular 4-2-5 cover 4, 4-3 cover 4, the way it's set up. Because they're in 12 personnel, we're in nickel. There's really no difference between this alignment right here and just like over 4-2-5, other than potentially this guy would be inside and he'd be here. But here's your Sam, your Mike, and your Will backer. Like, we're just playing 4-3 defense. For all intents and purposes, that's what we're doing. So I mean, there at the breakdown, we just miss a tackle, basically. All right, so now this is a pressure. This call for us is both backers in the A gaps. Our 2 tackles need to be B gap, and then our ends are rushing off the edge with Peel on the back if he goes out for a pass. So it's a 6-man pressure. Like we said, we're peeling the back, and we have a single high safety, just playing man everywhere else. And here we get cut out, and we don't make the tackle. And then we get hit with a long run. This was a tough play. We were playing well on defense this game. This is 5 minutes left in the 4th quarter. This was a tough play. because I don't think we scored again after this. So see this one front tight. We get cut out. Same thing. We're in a shade front. Just your 4 down front. How it ends up with this call, he's a B gap player. He needs to get B gap. He's contained. A gap, right? Just simple 6-man double A gap pressure. We're gapped out, but we get cut out right here. So you can see right here, we need to get him to the B gap. He tries to get there, I think, but then he gets cut behind 2 guys. So he's supposed to be here. He ends up playing backside A, which now we have 2 guys in the gap right here, and this is what you can't have on defensive football. We're okay on this side. We got a guy. He's fighting to get in that gap, but now we have purple helmet, yellow helmet. So that's a gap right there, and that's where he's gonna hit it. We don't make the tackle because we got cut out. If he would have stayed front side on this guy, then we still would have been fine because he adjusted to get to the B gap. We would have been all right, but we missed a tackle, and then our middle field safety's got a tough tackle. Basically, I mean, it's not easy to make a tackle in space like that, and we don't get him on the ground. Probably get held a little bit right here, but it's only holding if they call it. They don't want to call stuff on the offense. We have good run, good pursuit, but we don't have the best angles, and he's able to cut back, and they score a touchdown. That one, that's killer. Explosive plays won't kill you, but explosive touchdowns will kill you. So that was, like we said, that was a really unfortunate play. That one hurt. Especially the situation of the game and everything like that. That one was frustrating. But that one right there, it was we got cut out. We got cut out of our gap. All right, so now we're playing our tight front now. And we're playing palms. We saw earlier it was a 2x2 set. Actually, I'm sorry, it was a 3x1 set. Tight ends right here. So how we're playing this right now, he's C gap, he's B gap, A gap, B gap, C gap. Our nickel is right here playing this gap, and then our safety is outside of 2. And so he's really our extra fitter now. He can fit anywhere. So right here, we can see we're gapped out, right? Everyone's in their gap. Here, he's here, he's here. But what we need is we need someone to crack replace, whether that be the safety or the corner. And we don't get that on this one. So here the safety gets cracked, which is fine. Now we need our corner to crack replace. And he slips and misses a tackle, but if he stays on his feet and makes a tackle right there, it'll be right here, 2-yard gain maybe. On 2nd and 3, and if he falls forward for a first down, so be it. But we just got to get the guy on the ground. We fail to get him on the ground. He cuts back. We do end up getting him on the ground, but that's way too many yards, and we could have had him for 2 yards or 3 yards. So like we said, we're gapped out. We're fine. Yeah, he's getting cut out on the backside. That in theory is fine because we have this guy who's checking off gap. Whereas if it did end up cutting back somewhere, he would be available to make the play. But we slip on the crack replace, and that's the breakdown in this play right here. All right, so now we're looking at 3rd and 6. We're playing single high. All right, so this is a form of cover 3. It started in empty. So initially, we were going to be down right with our safety, post safety right here. This is our nickel, corner, obviously. And then these 2 guys are playing hook curl off at 3. Now when they motion back to the backfield, he's going to drop down and play hook curl. He's going to play off a two. He's going to play hook curl. He's going to play off a two. So these four guys are playing off of really these three guys right here. So we have 4-on-3 underneath. For more or less, these guys are locked up. We get aligned late. That doesn't help us at all. But we still have a chance. But we get, once again, I think we get cut out of a gap or something like that. And then our post safety can't make the tackle. Once again, that's a hard play to making a tackle in the one-on-one. So we do end up getting lined up. All right. And how we're doing this now, gap, A to A, B gap here. And our extra fitter really is our post safety. He's the guy now that has to make the open field tackle, because everybody else is gone. Our other safety, who's playing hook curl, his fit is right here. So what ends up happening now is they get the double on this one. And that's where that gap hits. It hits in that A gap right there. So they did a good job right here of doubling and scooping up and allowing this guy to capture our nose tackle. So we get caught in the B gap. And now our post safety's got a tough tackle to make. I think he probably loses it a little bit, like right here. He probably loses where the back is, and then he sees him. But at that point, he's too tight to the line of scrimmage. He's way too tight to the line of scrimmage to now react. By the time that this all happens, it's about 5 yards. Now he sees him. Now it's about 3 yards. He just can't redirect quick enough. Shoot, another one. About 5 minutes left in the game. 6-point game. Those are huge plays right there. Huge plays. And here we got cut out. So you can see we've got cut out a few times and we've missed a few tackles. And it's really just one small thing of a guy not doing his job. He might have done his job 99 plays, but on one play he doesn't do his job. That's when they hit us. And that's the thing about defensive football. The one time you don't do your job, they'll find it. Because like they didn't have that many points. They had 13 points and it was 5 minutes left in the game. So they obviously, the guys have been doing their job all day, but one time you get cut out and that's the one time that they hit you. And that's the beauty and the danger of defensive football. All right, so now we're getting an unbalanced look. For us, how we handled it, we just went new center. So we treat this guy like the center. Our nose is there. Our end is here. Our end is here. That's just how we treat unbalanced. It's pretty easy for us. So we're playing cover 6 here. We're going to be playing cloud to this side and quarters to this side. So really now he's playing B gap. He's playing, let me erase this. He's playing C gap, B gap, A gap, A gap, B gap, right here, extra fitter, because this is one and there's another guy out here. So he's our extra fitter, and then our corner really on the other side is our extra fitter. Because as we're looking at this is a receiver right here, and that's the number 1 receiver. So there's a corner out here also. So the safety now is playing off of this guy. So technically, like, this is his gap, but that's also his gap. With the pullers, we have to go back. Now, we're good in the fits. He's just got a trigger, and when he blocks him, we need our corner to make the tackle and crack replace. And I think that right here, he gets a little bit lost in his press. He needs to understand now that this guy's going to block him. I need to get off of this and make the tackle. He stays on that too long. You can see that's why he has to redirect. He ends up getting the guy on the ground, but obviously this is way too many yards. He needs to understand, okay, he's going to try to block this guy, which he does. So 4 really takes 2 on this one. And that's what the offense is going to try to do. They're going to try to make you make your DBs tackle. And that's a win for them. They want the DBs to tackle. Our DBs need to tackle. There they won this rep because our corner, he didn't come off of that soon enough. We get cracked. We don't crack replace. We end up getting him on the ground, but shoot, that's a 30-yard gain or something like that. All right, so here, once again, playing single high. This guy's playing off at 3. This guy is really playing off at 3 too. He's just on line scrimmage. He's playing off at 2 in the backfield, and he's playing off at 2, this guy. But we're single high, single gap defense. And what we're doing with this is our backer. He would typically align right here. We're just getting him right to his fit because his fit is still this gap. And we're just getting him on the line of scrimmage to where now if he recognizes pass, he can just drop back into his window because he doesn't have any vertical carry. But if it's run, he can set the edge right here. That's the theory of it. Here he's late. He's really late on this one. And he gets cut. And so this one, we put him in a bad situation. So this is on me for calling this right here because I was like, okay, well, let's try to cut the stretch off, but obviously it doesn't work here. And we get a nice tackle from our post safety having to get the guy on the ground. But so now you can see this is just like I don't know what you call it, 3-3, 5-5-1. It's really 5-1. But we're basically just playing a 3-4 defense. And then really like he would be our extra linebacker displaced on 3. But the fits are easy. It's here, B gap, A gap, A gap, B gap, and C gap. With him being your, in theory, extra fitter that's gonna try to clean everything up. But the fits are pretty simple, right? It's single high, single gap defense. We're just late. He's just way too late on this one. And he gets captured. Ideally, if he triggers right here and he gets cracked, well then Bryce just crack replaces and he makes a tackle right there. But then, so we're late right there. Late on this one. And then Bryce is a little bit late because he needs to be right here. He ends up getting held, but they're not going to call it. This is a lot of space, so now he's going to hit that. That's a good tackle from Malcolm right there to get him on the ground and allow us to play another snap. But there we were late, as well as not being, in theory, not being gap sound. Here's some missed tackles, and we must have been out of a gap. So this is 3, 2, 1 is out here in space. So what we're saying now is he's gonna fit there to there. He's gonna fit off of him. So they, in theory, have those two gaps between them. Come on now, with the follow, I see you. Is this Krajewski? He's right here in the D gap. He's A to A, B gap, C gap right there. And really now our corner on the backside is our extra fitter. Is how this works out. What's good, man? How you doing? All right, so now this is the problem with this. We weren't clearly defined with these two guys. It looks like Bryce thinks that Carlo is going to play the D gap and he's going to play the edge, but Carlo's playing the edge, so we have two guys in the gap. Appreciate that, Steve. Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to stay busy. So this is what happens now. We get two guys in the gap. Like we said, Bryce thinks that Carlo's going to play this gap, so he's aggressive when he reads run to play outside. We just have miscommunication between these two. He now needs to play off of Carlo, so he needs to get into that gap and play more horizontal as he's playing downhill. I guess more diagonal, if you will. He just needs to get into this gap. But we end up having two guys outside of 80. So we have red hat, and that's a big hole. And Vito's a good back, and Vito's gonna hit that downhill. He wants to hit that straight down the hash. And we miss a tackle, and we finally get him down, but once again, way too many yards. I guess the good thing is a lot of these plays are happening in the old colors. So we fixed a lot of our issues in 2023. All right, so now this is 4th and 1. We're calling cover 6. But the problem on this play is that we just get way too tight with both of our safeties. So we're playing quarters over here, and we're playing cloud over here. It's a cloud. We're playing, oh, no, it's a circle now. So he inverted this to now, in theory, he's the deep half and he's the force player. But he just gets way too tight, and now he can't scrape over the top and make this play. Another unfortunate one, right? They got no points right before half, 44 seconds left on 4th and 1, and we give up this play. So we get cut out of our gap on this side. We checked wide. So for us now, here, 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 here. And then our corners out here. All right, so we're gapped out, 100% gapped out. And now this guy right here is our extra fitter. We should have no problems at all. However, now I get it's 4th and 1, but we have our quarter safety lining up at linebacker depth. And we have our half field safety lining up at linebacker depth. So we're really, really tight to the line of scrimmage. And this ends up hurting us because, like we said, he doesn't have a gap over here. He's our extra fitter. We need him to be a little bit deeper, to be really like right behind where I am, where my face is, and then be able to check gaps off. Because we don't need him in this gap, because Will is in this gap. Really, Ruben's in this gap. Here, we get cut out right here though. So we have this and this. Yeah, I know, right? It was crazy. Yeah, the camera guy in the field, shoot. A few times they were out there and almost got hit. The ref, like, get out of the way, man. It's like, I got a job to do. So here we get cut out right here, and that allows us, or that makes us have two guys in one gap. Same thing. Bryce is trying to be aggressive because he reads run, right? He sees his 2 block, 3 blocks. He's trying to go fill and play run, but now we have 2 guys in the gap, and he literally is running into his back because he's trying to be aggressive. We need TB to stay in this gap and really play this C gap and just sit there and take that block, because if he takes this block and he blocks out on Nas, then we should have an unblocked player right there. Like, if he plays in that gap, this guy can't get there because he lined up a little bit closer on 4th and 1 and played aggressive. So we would have an unblocked player. In theory, he would have to cut one more, and I know that this guy has more weight than Bryce, but I'm still going to take Bryce. He would chop him down, and I think he would have made the play. Because where's the ball at? They have to get to right here. Bryce probably makes this play for 0 yards. Maybe they do get the first down, but we still get to play another snap. And that's an old Mike Tomlinism: defend a blade of grass. Always make them snap the ball one more time. So here we get cut out. Our safeties aren't deep enough to scrape over the top, and that's what we're saying about Tarp right here. He's too tight to where now by the time he scrapes over the top to the next available gap, he's behind the ball carrier. If he started with a little bit more depth and came across, then he would at least have to make a move, and it wouldn't just be a beeline to the end zone. So in theory, if he has to make a move, I mean, Tarp probably would have tackled him because he was a good tackler, but if he has to make a move, then Furlando can probably make the tackle, or potentially Mark can get there to make the tackle. But I mean, this is the same game. Two killer runs because we just missed a gap. We were cut out on a gap. All right, so now this is late in the game. QB run. Playing Cloud over here, so he's a C-gap player. Really now our corner is responsible for that gap. Our safety is now out here. He's here. He's there, here, and really he's going to be in the C-gap as well. How it works out. He can't be wrong going front side or backside in this scenario. Just how it plays out, because we have that corner out there. So like him playing this way because that's where the action's going, that's cool. We just need our corner to fit. And really what happens on this play is he needs to slow down a little bit, because technically he needs to be the inside foot of the quarterback. With that guy, number 2, Magoo, it's not the best matchup just because he was a mobile guy. But sometimes guys have difficult jobs. Same thing here though. We get cut out. He needs to fight to stay in this gap, make the picture clear for him. But he can stop like right there, in my opinion. And then he kind of slips to allow the quarterback to get outside. All right, I think now we're getting to the stuff that's not terrible plays. I mean, this one is not a good play, but we're getting to lower gains on here. All right, so this is a similar picture to the one we had earlier where we were just getting him to his gap right there. It's just a 5-man hit, and then he's got the next gap. Really, it should be an A gap, but we're basically doing the same thing. We're sending 5, but he's just in his run fit, basically. And I think he gets cut out again here. Same thing. It's same team too. We need Tez to stay outside on this one, and keep his right arm, his outside arm free. B gap, he's here. So really he needs to get there. He needs to get into that gap, and he's here. So we end up being okay. I mean, obviously we're getting held, but they're not going to call it. We need Tez to stay outside of this guy. And now he's our extra guy. He's got to end up making the open field tackle. Which we make contact at the 10, and he gets like another 8. So there's another 8 yards of hidden production for the offense. But it all starts right there. We need Tez to stay outside on this one. That's his gap. He needs to stay outside. Single high, single gap defense. Everyone's got a gap. They got to stay in their gap. Stay right there where you are. Stay in this B gap. He's fine in the A gap. He's in the B gap, C gap. Ruben needs to keep going over the top and hit that gap in theory. All right, this was the first play of the game against these guys. We're playing quarters up to the top, Cloud to the bottom, so he's here. Really, technically, he's there, and he's there. There. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's not right. He's here. I can't. It's hard to tell. I'll go to tight. Here, 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 here to there, to B, to there. There, extra fitter. So we do a good job with the pullers with Ruben. Ruben does a good job getting over the top. We need him to trigger and we need him to go one more, I think is what happens. Yeah, Tez needs to go over the top at 13. He backdoors it, and if you're going to backdoor it, you got to make the play. But then he gets knocked off by 60, where if he would have backdoored it and not got hit by that guy, he might have been able to make the play. But we need Tez to fight over the top. And then he should be our unblocked player. And same thing here. We need to make this tackle. If we're going to be unblocked right here, we got to go make that tackle. A lot of guys slipped on this field. This was early in the season. I think it was. Maybe not. No, this was late in the season. All right, so now we are doing bad arrow 1 peel, which we talked about earlier, is both of our backers in the A gap. But this is a QB run, a QB design run. So now we need our post safety to be in the fit when they do QB run, QB designed run, like a true. And what I mean by that is now they have an extra blocker with this guy. This is not a good call for one, for QB run, and two, for pullers, and really the run game in general. Because as we're doing this, it's here, here, there, 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 here. His fit is right there, but we're peeling on the back. So when he blocks, he creates an extra gap, and we need him to fit off of that. It's just a unfortunate call for their offensive call. Tez does a good job of reading out of that. I wish he would have slowed down, but I see what he's seeing. He's seeing this guy, so he's gonna go for that. I wish he would have slowed down and been able to make the tackle, but this was just on me. This was a bad call because Tez really doesn't need to go with this guy because we have a guy for that running back in motion. But this is basically, I mean, this is a 6-man pressure against a QB designed run. This is just a bad call by me. Like, is it fit out? Yes, but we're also counting on this guy to make the tackle. And even if he does make the tackle, it's probably going to be at like 5 yards, 3 to 5 yards, best case scenario. So like that's on me. It is 3rd and 10, but if we make the tackle right here, we get off the field. In theory, we make him kick a field goal, but we miss the tackle. So that's the call as well as missed tackles. All right, so that last one was a pressure 1 defense. Now we're getting into another 2 high defense. Palms, to me, is just like quarters. He's now in the fit right there. We'll go to the tight. how it works out is that nickel that we just saw walk off the screen, he's there. A to A, B here, and then our safety that is just right around here is he's our extra fitter. So he'll check off gaps, gap, gap, everything like that. So we'll see what happens here. It's a stretch, so someone probably gets cut out. Ooh, so this one hits backside. All right, so now we do end up, in theory, getting cut out. He gets one gap too far, so he tries to make it right to get all the way over there. But on this backside now, we're getting cut out, so we have two guys outside of the tackle. And that's where it ends up hitting. It ends up hitting back in this B gap. It's stretched this way. That ends up hitting in this gap right here. So he cut him off. He was successful in his responsibility. He cuts that guy off. And now they cut it back. Now we need our post safety. I'm sorry, our quarter safety to go make that tackle. Let's see where he's at. I think he's probably late because of the bootleg. I'm not sure. Oh, I'll tell you what happened. All right. So this game, on the backside of Palms over here, we were playing Cloud. So he's now playing the deep half, and he needs to be the guy in the fit. So he's the guy that would have to make that tackle. It's hard for him because of where he's lined up. And where the B gap ends up. The B gap ends up all the way on the other side of the field. So, like, you can't really ask that guy to make the play. But that's how it is ruled out, other than the guy that is responsible for that gap. So our corner is the extra fitter, but as this ball gets over there, like, you can't ask the corner from this side of the field to make a tackle on these numbers. We just got to not get cut out of our gap. All right, so we're looking at a single high concept right here. Hold on, let me go back real quick. Apologize. All right, so this is a 2x2 set, 3x1. So this is our safety right here. Here, he's really now in that gap. He's there, A to A, B here, and he's your guy that is your extra fitter. So see what happens. We get pullers. We get cut out right here. He needs to get to there. And really now, as this happens, he needs to trust it and he needs to keep going. And we need him to force it back to this guy and this guy. So really, we're all sorts of messed up. He needs to be right there. He needs to go take 44 on, and 30, and our other backer, I don't even know where he is. I lost him. He's right there maybe. He needs to get all the way over there to there. So here, this is a bad picture. He needs to trust his key of the guard pulling and go. I don't know what makes him stop. Yeah, I'm not sure what makes him stop. But that's a bad picture. It's a very bad picture, obviously. Like I said, a lot of this is in purple and orange, meaning we got better the next season. This must have been a penalty. That's why it's right here. Oh, yeah. Can't throw punches. Yeah, I tell linebackers, like, you hear read the triangle of this guard to quarterback. is what their keys are. In college football now, guards will sometimes lie to you, meaning that like they'll pull the guards one way and then run back the other way. But that's the exception to the rule. Like not many teams do that. Like true misdirection where they're pulling guys and running opposite. Some teams are starting to, and sometimes teams will like do sneaky stuff where they're half pull and then come back. Usually they'll do that like with this guy, pull and then come back with the tight end, the Y off. But Steve asked, are the linebackers generally looking at the O-line? Yeah, they're typically looking at the guards to the quarterback. That's what they should get their read on. Initially, if it's a run block, like if it's a down block, okay, then I'm going to trigger. If it's a down block this way, I'm going to trigger. If it's a pass set, I'm going to get into my pass key. And if it's a pull, okay, well, this is my fit, but now I need to go with my gap because this guy is taking my gap. So we'll look at this one, it's just next play. So how we're doing this right now, I believe we're locking this guy going in and out with these on this one. So our fits now are there, here, 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 there, he's there, there, and there. All right, so we're gapped out, we're all good. Now really, as this happens, one of these guys needs to be in that gap. He's kind of canceling this gap with that guy's body, but that's where we need to get a guy. It's hard to tell like when it's so condensed like that, but that was on there because we threw a punch at the end of the play. All right, so here we're getting a cutback again. We must get cut out. We're playing palms, quarters against 3 detached. So we're saying palms now. So he's out here on 2. He's going to fit right there. Palms and quarters, to me, the only difference is which one of these 2 guys is fitting right there. That's really the big difference. So he's there. B gap, C gap, A to A. B gap here, extra fitter. Check, 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 check. So we get held, it looks like to me right here, but it ends up hitting in the B gap. I would say that's a hold, but hey man, it's only a hold if they call it. Malcolm can do a little bit of a better job. He does later. I don't know if we'll see the play here. It's in this game. He does a good job of doing the same thing, but he makes a tackle for like 2 or 3 yards. What would help us is if Tez initially lined up a little bit here because he's got to play A to A, and so he's walking this way, and so he ends up being late. But if he was lined a little bit better, he could play more downhill to help him out, to not let this get washed and then cut up and run away from Malcolm. So there's a lot of little things on this play that end up allowing that cutback right there. He kind of gets washed because he's not able to play downhill because he was talking to someone over here, probably because I got the call in late, and then it runs away from him, who's our extra fitter. And obviously he's getting held. But that's a good tackle right there. Shoot. To make that play on a back, that's a good tackle. Facts, that is a good tackle because he was gone if not. All right, here we just lose contain on the edge. But what I do like about this one is our 300 and I don't know, Leve, what, 330? I don't know if I'm being generous. Pound nose tackle, runs 15, 20 yards down the field to make a tackle. I do like to see that. All right, so I do know we got messed up. He should be over here, and he should be over here, but it doesn't matter as long as we got a guy and a guy. But he ends up getting lined up late, and he gets captured. And Bryce needs to end up now fitting outside of this guy because that's his coverage. How we're doing this, gap, 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 and gap. But really now, these two guys are playing off of these two guys. So when he blocks out, Bryce needs to force that and get it back to him. Or whoever. Like, we're saying how we're gapped out. If Bryce forces this right here and is outside, then in theory he has to cut up to Dale or to whoever that is in that gap, Jeremiah. But we allow the edge to get captured because here we can see we have two hats in one gap, and that's the breakdown on this play. Is we have two guys in a gap. You never want that. Yeah, 22. Yeah. Damn it, Bryce. He was an all-pro this year, though, so it ain't all bad. It's pretty much the same call, just out of a different personnel grouping. We must get cut out because that just went straight downhill. All right, so now how we're fitting this here, 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 there. Wait, hold on a second. One of these guys are corners. Okay, never mind. I'm sorry. Corners there. Corners there, 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 here to here. B gap, here, there. All right, single high, single gap defense. Is this mint front? This is just odd 3-4. Like in theory, yeah, it's mint, but I just call it tight. This is base for us. So like for us, this is a defensive end. This is a nose. This is an end. This is our Will backer, our Sam backer, outside linebacker. We would call this guy our Mike and this guy our dime, and this is a safety because they're in 13 personnel. It's Y, U, M, and then there are X's out here, the receiver. But yeah, like mint 3-4, tight, whatever you want to call it, it's all kind of the same thing. I think in theory, the mint front is 4, like a 4-eye or however you want to call it, inside shade and head up. He should be head up and he should be head up, but like it's all the same thing. Whether you want to be head up or whether you want to be like slightly shaded inside, it's in theory the same thing. Typically they're going to play the B gap. All right, so on this one now, we fall down on the double team. So like we said, here, 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 A gap, A gap. He needs to play downhill in that A gap. Just shoot it, and he needs to play downhill as well. He ends up really getting caught behind this guy who they're kind of gap exchanging, but now he's got to make this tackle in this gap. He ends up getting captured by this guy where he needs to keep his right arm free. This arm. He needs this arm to be free, and he needs to engage with his left hand. And stay right here. Like right now, he's okay. He's okay right now, but now he's not. If that makes sense. He needs to be on the other side of that guy. And then Malcolm's, I would just say the one thing he can do is just not stop his feet like that. Just go shoot it. Because there's all this trash in there. Just go cut his legs out. Alright, before this one, this is a jet sweep. I'm going to take a quick intermission. I will be right back.
We must pay homage to him.
All right, apologies. I'm back. All right, so now this is a jet sweep that we're looking at, and this is a bad call. I already know this is a bad call because we're blitzing from the side of the jet sweep. This is not good. And this guy was really, really fast. This was just a bad call. All right, so now it is ruled out. It's technically sound, but it's not the best situation for this call. So it's here, A gap, here, loop to contain. He's in coverage off of 2, who is this guy. So now he really is in that gap. He's there. He's blitzing that gap. So like these guys are all blitzing. It's just your scrape pattern. And he's in coverage off of this guy. He's in coverage off of him. He's in coverage off of him. He's rolling down to be in coverage off of this guy. And he's our middle field safety. They motion that guy, but we're going to keep the call on motion. All right, we're still going to play it because we can't reload that quickly. He needs to contain, which he can do from right there, but he needs to make that tackle, which is not like, if he was just going to shoot it and hit that guy, yeah, he would make that tackle, but he can't like react to seeing, oh, I have my hand in the ground, seeing motion to now hitting that. Like, if he did, it would probably be more like he lucked into it, or we were game planning it and we said on motion, when you hear motion or you hear whatever the word is, just go hit the jet sweep guy. And then he needs to get outside of that, in theory, because he needs to fit off of that guy. But like we said, it's not a good call for this. That's a really good run by EJ, by 44 right here. Technically, this is his new 3 coming back, but like I said, this is just, we're gapped out, but this guy is really fast, running from a 5 technique, an outside linebacker, and an inside linebacker. He ends up taking a good angle and getting there, but this isn't on any of the guys on the field. This is on me in the box for calling this stupid play at this point in time. This one we get cut out. We're playing cover 4, and we're playing cloud over on this side. So what we're saying is C gap, B gap, A to A, B gap, and now one of these 2 guys is right there, and he is really here to here. So right now, he doesn't need to go in here. It's similar to what we talked about earlier where he can't be wrong. He can't be wrong, but we need one of these guys to come into the fit. Because really he's there and one of these DBs is out here, but we're gapped out everywhere else. And that's why it hits that way. So really he can be a little bit more patient and fall back and make that tackle right there. Or we need our corner or our safety to go and make that play when we're playing cloud. So let's see what we do. Yeah, so we are playing true cloud because he's way out here. He needs to go trigger on that and go. Like right now, when he sees run, he needs to be running in there. He's way too slow and getting blocked. I think I gave him a loaf and a missed tackle on this play. He needs to go a lot quicker. But like we're gapped out. We just need our corner, who's our extra fitter, as a cloud player. He needs to go. And really, him and him, they should hit each other getting to make the tackle. All right, so here we're getting more QB run. Run the fake. What's happening? Come on. Reach that follower goal of 70. That's dope. 70 people following. That's a lot of people. That's awesome. All right. So now what we're looking at is we're playing cover 3. He's our curl flat down here. Curl flat. These two guys should be playing off of this guy. So we're not really like spaced out very well because it's empty. And then I guess on the motion we're spinning it. I don't know. This might have been a game plan thing to where he's going there and he's rolling down. So now he's playing off of 2, who is this guy. These guys are playing off of 3. He's playing off of 2. I don't remember quite what we did here. But we're not gapped out. So what we need to have happen now, if we are going to spin this, Eli needs to get in this gap. So like it's still gap football. It's just now the gaps are in space. He's outside. He's there. He needs to be there. He needs to be there. Keith makes a really good tackle right here because he saves us from getting a touchdown. If he doesn't make this tackle, he's probably gone. Because I think that's number 9. He's fast. I think it is. We'll see in a second. All right, but we're in the shade front, 4 down. We set it closed right. So a 3 technique, 1 technique here, there. And like we said, really B gap, A gap. And now, I'm sorry, hold on a second. Right now it's not. Right now it's because our safety is over here. So our safety is fitting here. He's fitting here. He's fitting here. But now on the motion, he would fit there and he would fit out there, I think. Let me see. On the motion here, 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 there, there. And like we said, Eli's right there. So they put us in a tough spot with the pullers. For him, he has to go with that. So now he needs to play like quarterback zone read. And what it ends up happening is in this situation, typically what you're saying is like the zone read's going like this, and that's the quarterback. It's just basically reverse. So now he's going inside foot of the sweep, which is in theory the quarterback. So what we're saying is 99 needs to be the inside hip of that and chase it, and really Eli would be the guy to make the tackle, who's right here. He needs to go and make the tackle because he's seeing puller, so he's gonna fall back with the puller. He's there. He's going there. He's here. He's fitting off of one of these pullers. Fitting off a puller. Fitting off a puller. And then what we said earlier is if it is true QB run, then the guy that has to tackle the quarterback is the post safety. He's got to be the extra fitter if the quarterback pulls it. This guy. But we need Eli. I mean, it's not a great picture because it's all this space. And, like, if you ask me, what do I not like? I don't like space. I don't like spread everything in space because you're making one-on-ones in space. And if your athlete is better than our athlete, then more times than not, you're going to win. Even if we're sound, you're going to win. So, like, in this situation, how it should fit is Eli needs to be right here, and this guy is in this gap. but that's a mismatch. All right, let me see what he said. Okay, linebacker eyes are effed with the pullers away from number 3 motion. Yeah, that's true, but it's not his play to make. With the pullers, his rule, he has to go back with the pullers. It's this guy now that has to expand here because this is his gap. Unless you want to have him chase that and have him now replace it. You can do that. Different ways to play zone read where because what we're saying now, typical zone read is like this. Typical zone read is running back there, quarterback there. So you're saying the back is the dive and the quarterback is the option. Whereas if you're playing like triple option team, that's the dive and then the quarterback. Like true Navy triple option. You're saying someone has a dive and someone has a quarterback. All right. But now with zone read, what you're saying is that's the dive and that's the quarterback, right? In this situation, this is the dive and this is the quarterback. It's semantics, but you're saying one of the guys has the guy that's hitting the interior gap and someone else has the guy that's hitting the perimeter gap. All right. So you can reverse it. You can do it however you want. And like, if you're playing a true triple option team, sometimes depending on how good you guys are on defense, you can, certain calls on defense would have this guy take the dive. Certain calls would have him take the pitch or the quarterback. And sometimes he would go in and he would go out. And sometimes he would go out and he would go in. It just depends on what you're doing. But how we handled it, he's going to read his keys and go with the pullers. And yeah, that's not a great fit. Like it's not a great matchup to have this guy running with that guy in space, but we're going to live with that because we didn't see a whole bunch of this stuff. And if we do see more of it, then we'll change the call up. We'll call like Tampa, or we'll call quarters, or we'll call something where we have 2 safeties that are triggering into the fit instead of a single high safety that's way back here. We'll call something with 2 high to where now this safety can just go shoot that that lane, if you will. If that makes sense. There are a lot of ways to do it. And like, this way might not be the best way for this exact play, but the stuff that we saw, it was good for us the majority of the time, so that's why we did it. Like, it's still ruled out. We're still gapped out to what we're seeing. It's just not a great matchup to have our outside linebacker on a really fast receiver. Yeah, sometimes you're gonna have a hard matchup, and like sometimes that happens. Like number 9, Marcus Sims. I don't know what his 40 is, but I see him on the field. He's one of the fastest players in the league. And yeah, sometimes that happens. Sometimes they get hats off to the offense. They schemed it up to where they got us in this call, and the offensive coordinator makes money too, and their guys make money too. So they're gonna win on plays. Hopefully, not as many times as we win on plays, but I mean they're gonna win on plays too. All right, so this one I know what happened here. All right, so how we are set up in this tight mint front, however you want to call it, on true change of strength motion, we need to reload the call. So how we need this to work. Right now we're playing quarters up top and we're playing cloud down to the bottom. So he's playing off a 2. He's over the He's playing off a 2. He's over the top. He's our cloud corner. Because this is the strength and this is the nickel. But now on this change of strength motion, what we need to do now, he becomes the fourth rusher. He becomes the outside backer. He should be playing cloud. He should be playing half. He should be playing off of 2 who's in the backfield. He now needs to walk out, and they could make a call where they switch to where he would play off of 2 and he would play off of 3. But what we need to happen is this guy needs to walk out at least to right here to be in coverage. He would stay in the box. He would expand to him. But we don't get the check, and we're all late. And then we miss a tackle with the change of strength motion. I mean, this obviously is a bad picture because they have 3 guys and we have 1.5. But we need him. Like if it was drawn up, I would put him right here. I would put him right here. I would put him right here. I would lock this guy and push this guy over this way to protect this guy. But now we didn't get the check, so we're just rushing 5. And we got 2 linebackers standing right here and not covering this guy. So this one was on a motion adjustment to where we messed up the check. And we still almost get the tackle. But that's it. For what this play is, only being a 12, 13-yard gain, we'll take that because it could have been 80 yards. I mean, it's probably 18 yards, but it could have been a lot more because we didn't adjust to motion well. So like we said, really he now becomes the 4th rusher. He's there. How it should look is him, here, A gap. We should have a backer right here playing A gap, B gap, and really he should be out there, and then this guy should be playing that gap. Is how it should look if it were correct. But we don't have this guy who ends up kind of getting there, but he's just late, as you can see. And now he's overextended because he's running in from Egypt out there. But that one was on a motion adjustment error. That's why that play hit. I think this one we failed to crack replace and missed some tackles. Let's see. All right, so now as this play goes, he needs to be right here. The corner needs to fit here. He's really there. He's there. Sorry. He's really here. He's there. AA here. Like we have numbers, but they're not great because we're playing cloud over here. So we have really 3 guys for their 2 hats over here. Ooh. Like we said, it was a slippery field. So let's see now. Really what needs to happen is, like, we're not awful. He's there. He needs to be in that gap. He's right there. He needs to be in this gap. And I think the guy that slipped is in this gap. Yeah, so what's happening is he's playing the B gap. He's seeing this puller. So he's trying to stick his foot in the ground and redirect to pop it, if you will, and get over the top to be in that gap, to allow us to have gap. Here, there. He's trying to pop that with the puller so he can be in this gap right there. But he slips, and that's why we don't have anyone in this gap. If that makes sense. All right, we'll watch a few more. We'll see what else we got coming down the playlist. Ooh. That's a nice beat. This is Homage on the beats. This is a buddy of mine from high school. He makes beats, and let me know if you like him. His I wonder if I can link his YouTube. Let me see. I'm gonna try to get his YouTube real quick so I can link it. He's on Apple Music, on Spotify, all that. His YouTube channel is dope. Let me pull it up real quick. Oops, my bad. Wrong keyboard. There we go. All right. So we are playing cover 1, and how we're playing it. He's going down to the tight end. So now this guy, and this guy are playing off of him in the back. 3-way, 3-on-2, whatever you want to call that. That's how we're doing it. So his fit is there, B gap, there, A to A, B gap, off the edge. Once again, single high, single gap defense. Your extra fitter is your post safety. Here we must get cut out. Yeah, so on this one, Alive gets cut out of the B gap. He's trying to trigger there. And really, we get 2 guys to cut out. 2 guys get cut out. How it ends up, really now Tarp needs to make this right and fit in the B gap, which is tough for him just based on what he's seeing, because he's thinking, I'm fitting right there, he's fitting there, and he's fitting there. The other thing that we could do here is check wide, which would, if we check wide, it would put him there, there, and there, because it's a 3x1 set. We did that at times. I don't know why we didn't here, but we could have done that. It would have been advantageous for us to do that, to put him right there, and we'd be, which would just be kind of like an underfront, if you will, because basically what you're saying now is he's playing a 3, he's playing a 1 or a shade, and he's playing a, I don't know, whatever y'all call this. I call it a 6. I think that's what y'all call it, 6 outside shade of the tackle. You're basically just playing an underfront. That's a good open field tackle right there. Like this right here, and it doesn't look hard potentially on tape. This is one of the hardest tackles in football. When you're a post safety and the running back is literally running straight down the pipe, that's a very, very, very difficult tackle. Like, he can go that way, he can go that way, he can run over you, he can jump over you, like, he can do whatever he wants. That's a very difficult tackle to make. That's a really good tackle from Bryce. I'm gonna send this play to him. That's a really good tackle. Here looks like we're getting late to get lined up, and we just get washed. Yeah, so same thing. We're late to get lined up. He needs to surf. Isn't really what happens. He takes a really poor wide round angle because we were late to get lined up. It's probably on me. I probably didn't get the call in fast enough, if I'm being honest. But he needs to surf right here. And so like what we're talking about, this is just zone read. So dive and quarterback, or dive and option, keep and pitch, whatever you want to call it. He's playing C gap to inside leg of the quarterback, and your post safety is your extra fitter that's getting outside of the quarterback. what you can do is you can switch things to where he would play outside and really, I'm sorry, he would play the dive and he would go over the top, which is, I don't like that necessarily, because if he gets caught, then it's out the gate. But there are different ways to play option. All right, this will be a good one. We're playing cover 3 here, designating the strength to the left. There, here, there, here, here. I'm sorry, where's our corner? It all depends on where the corner is. All right, I apologize. The fits are now here. Corner is right here. There, A, B, C off the edge. So now, as this guy falls back, what's wrong is he needs to be lined up right here. He needs to be lined up right here. And he needs to be lined up like right here. Because what we said is initially the corner is out there. There, A to A, B, C here. All right, so that's the initial gaps before anybody moves. But now that this guy falls back, here, there, A, here, there, he should really be there. He's in that gap. And as this guy falls back, corner should be outside and he should be right there. So what ends up happening is he falls back a little bit too far, I believe. Oh, and we get held. That's the biggest culprit, is us getting held. I'm sorry, 55, you're fine. You didn't fall back too far. He's fine. He's perfectly fine right there. He's getting held. Another good open field tackle. The other thing that could help us is he needs to, once again, he's slipping, but he needs to not get washed. Because like he makes contact right here on the hash and he ends up making the gap wider because he's trying to keep contained, but it ends up running away from our linebacker who could in theory scrape over the top, and this guy who's getting held in our post safety. Ooh, this is a pass. I think this is a RPO and they threw the ball. All right, good. So this will be the last one we watch because now it's a pass. And we'll talk about this one too. So we're playing palms here. And I've been trying, I don't know if y'all play NCAA, but I've been trying to figure out the differences between palms and quarters. And I feel like when I'm playing Dynasty and I don't have like all the skills leveled up, the guys just do whatever they want on defense. But when I'm like in practice and like they're actually doing what the rules are, it works. So in palms, we're saying this guy is the fitter. Like he's the C-gap fitter, and now his fit is right there. So with that, if we're getting run action, the nickel, he has to trigger on the run. So on the slant, he's got to trigger on the slant. If it was quarters, he would be right here in that fit, and he would be a little bit inside in that gap. So if they ran a slant, he would really hit this guy in the face. But we're playing palms. Palms isn't the best RPO slant because these guys are playing hard for the run. So he just pulls it and throws the slant. It should be a bang bang play, but they might catch it. Eli can probably be a little bit better on his footwork. I don't like his angle there. We start practice with a W drill where you backpedal and then brake. I don't know why I got disconnected. Where you backpedal and then brake at a 45-degree angle. If he would have broke at a 45-degree angle, he probably would have got there a little bit easier. But it is what it is. But like I said, in NCAA, I've been trying to figure out the differences between quarters and palms. When I'm doing it in practice, in palms, the corner should trigger on that, and the safety should get to 1. And if it was quarters, then the short quarters player should take this, and the corner should take 1. And in practice, they do it, but in games, they don't. So, like, I'm still trying to figure everything out with that. But yeah. So, I think that's a good one to stop on, because like we said, this is a pass too. Maybe not, this is a run. Here we just get cut out on the split zone. One more, because I want to talk about this one. Here, there, B gap, A to A, B gap, C gap, contain. Puller, fall back. He needs to fall back. Block this guy, fit there. Fall back, fall back, fall back, A gap. Contain, B gap, A gap, B gap, gapped out. He just shoots his gap. We can't do that because now he has to go over the top. And it ends up hitting straight down the hash. Because really now, he's trying to make it right and he goes too far. So now we have really him and him are in this gap, if you can see that picture. He's forcing it. That's his gap. He went a little bit too far because he shot his gap. He should really sit right there. That was their longest run of this day. They only had like 13 yards rushing, and they got like 13 yards on this play. It was just because we had so many negative rushes, negative TFLs. All right. So this was a lot of obviously not great plays, but what we'll do maybe on Thursday, maybe we'll look at like some better run fits, because that was probably a 10-yard gain. So maybe we'll start here and look as the run fits, as the runs get even less and less in yards, and see what good plays look like, because this was a lot of bad fits and missed tackles. Not too many missed tackles, mainly it was fits or guys getting cut out. A couple bad calls by me, putting the guys in not great situations. So on Thursday, maybe we'll check this out right where we are right now, and see some good run fits as they correlate to coverage. We talked about how they should fit, but we can talk about how they should fit as well as how they should fit and see it. But yeah, this was a nice little stream today, and I'm thinking about doing some little NCAA streams. I created the maulers, the 23 maulers on Team Builder. I'm still trying to figure out how to make it look better, but it's ready to download. So if you download it, the numbers and like the faces are somewhat correct. I tried to do the ratings, but it's not super user friendly. But download it. It looks pretty cool. The uniforms are all there. I'm gonna do a dynasty with them. I'm just kind of waiting to see if they update everything and have like a fix for everything so it runs smoother, so Georgia isn't losing to FCS teams. But other than that, I appreciate you for being here. I hope that you learned a little bit of something today, and I'll see you on Thursday at around the same time, 12:45 Pacific, and then maybe this weekend for an NCAA stream or something like that. We'll see what's good with the what's good. All right, I appreciate y'all.